Once upon a time, in a quaint little town nestled between rolling hills and whispering forests, a peculiar shadow appeared. This shadow was unlike any other. It had no person to call its owner, and roamed the streets with a curious purpose. The townsfolk were baffled by this strange phenomenon, for they could not fathom how a shadow could exist without someone to cast it. The shadow had a unique ability. It would follow different people around, mimicking their actions, but, more importantly, their worst traits. If someone was prone to anger, the shadow would stomp and rage around them. If another was given to jealousy, the shadow would leer and sneer at others' happiness. It was a mystery how the shadow knew, but it revealed the parts of themselves that people often tried to hide. In the beginning, the townsfolk were amused by the shadow's antics. They laughed and pointed, not realizing that the shadow was not just mimicking for fun, but was showing them a mirror of their own flaws. As time passed, however, they began to notice the pattern. The shadow was not just a shadow, it was a lesson. Among the townsfolk was a young boy named Timmy, known for his quick temper. Timmy was the first to confront the shadow when it began to mimic his angry outbursts. He watched in horror as the shadow threw a tantrum, realizing it was copying his own behavior. With a heavy heart, Timmy acknowledged his flaw, apologizing to those he had hurt with his anger. To his surprise, the shadow nodded and vanished, leaving Timmy feeling lighter and more at peace. Inspired by Timmy's courage, other townsfolk began to confront their shadows. Sarah, who often gossiped, faced her shadow as it whispered and spread rumors. She promised to speak only kindness and saw her shadow fade away. Mr. Baker, who was known for his greed, watched his shadow hoard imaginary coins. He vowed to share his wealth, and his shadow disappeared too. But not everyone was willing to face their shadows. Some ignored them, hoping they would simply go away. Others denied their flaws altogether, blaming the shadow for their troubles. These people soon found themselves consumed by darkness, unable to escape the very traits they refused to acknowledge. The town learned an important lesson from the shadow. Confronting and acknowledging one's flaws is the first step toward overcoming them. As each person faced their shadow, the town became a brighter, kinder place. People helped each other improve, offering support and understanding instead of judgment and ridicule. In time, the mysterious shadow vanished as mysteriously as it had appeared. The townsfolk never forgot its lesson, though. They remembered that everyone has flaws, but it is how we face and overcome them that truly defines us. Children would play in the streets, mimicking not the worst traits of others, but the best, celebrating the victories over their shadows. Parents would share the tale of the shadow with their children, ensuring the lesson would not be lost to future generations. And so, the town thrived, a place of light and laughter, where shadows were no longer feared but understood as a part of oneself to be acknowledged and overcome. The people lived happily, not because they were perfect, but because they had learned to embrace and improve upon their imperfections together.